What's up everyone, this is NyhlekDreams and we've got a treat for all of you today. For those of you that love Outlanders with Teddy builds, we did some loadout testing with the Boyo Overlord himself. Me and Demon Joe Friends got some gameplay to help you all determine the best Teddy based Outlander, and I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed with the outcome of a previous underdog turning champion. Now, based upon commander perks, we narrowed it down to two to pit against each other, and that comes down to the Trailblazer and the Enforcer subclass. A lot of you are familiar with the Enforcer subclass, but prior to the hero rework, Trailblazer really didn't get a lot of love, and we've got some gameplay to look at a little later, but for the start of this, I want to go ahead and look at the one that we ultimately crowned the victor. But we didn't just stop there. We're going to give you guys a look at two unique skins that are exclusive to PS4 and Xbox, and you can only obtain them if you have the game on one of those consoles. I started out Fortnite over on Xbox, so I'm lucky enough to have this exclusive Trailblazer Jess skin, but a lot of you know DJF used to play over on PS4, so he's actually got that really cool Trailblazer AC skin that we got to look at earlier today. Both of these skins are really cool, and if I had to choose, I would personally go with that Trailblazer AC skin, so I'm a little bit jealous, but remember that you can only get these if you own the game on one of the consoles, and remember that they will not come as a legendary. They start out as a rare. You do have to flux them up to legendary in order to get them to their max potential. Now, if you weren't fortunate enough to get one of these variants of the skin, don't worry, we can head over to the collection book under Outlanders, and there is Trailblazer Quinn that you can recruit, as well as the other subclass that we're going to be looking at, the base game hero Enforcer Grizzly. But we're going to go ahead and back out here and go look over at the build itself and what we have set up for the loadout, as well as what's in store for what we're going to have in the gameplay. Now, I just want to leave a disclaimer that this is just what we came to a conclusion on as the most damage output, but both of these subclasses here have a use for specific situations. Now we can look at this loadout, and we'll go ahead and start with the commander perks. Trailblazer's commander perk is Berserker, which increases Teddy damage by 46% and fire rate by 25%. And we can go ahead and head over to the Enforcer and see that that Teddy revolves mainly around the duration instead of the base damage. So that's really going to be a boon in one area or the other, and we'll get into that later. But the next up that we have is the team perk, and I personally like running Bio Energy Source here. Every time that you deplete some of your energy, you're going to regain some shield. So if you're in a fight and you have, a little bit of your shield down, you can actually place a Teddy, and when that uses up your energy, it'll replenish some of that shield. Some other ones that you can do here is like Phase Blaster if you want to kind of focus on a little bit extra damage from your weapon, as well as shifting gears here if you want to have a little bit mobility with your phase shifts. And one last one that I would recommend is probably Underdog. It's a pretty good one for keeping yourself healed up if you feel that you want to go more towards the health pool side of things and keep it safe with a little bit of survivability. Now we can have a look at the support team starting with Bearstare here. Teddy fires lasers from his eyes every 2 seconds, dealing 26 base energy damage. Overbearing increases Teddy's range by 2 tiles. Enemies take more damage from Teddy based on the distance, up to a 40% at max range. Bear With Me increases the duration of Teddy by 4 seconds. Fragment generation with 39 eliminations, granting 1 charge fragment. And up the voltage here with a 33% damage to Shock Tower. Now this is a pretty good time to go ahead and mention that the difference between these two classes also relies in the passive abilities that they get, and that plays a huge factor in which one actually comes out on top, as the Teddy does play the largest factor, and Trailblazer actually is able to get a Shock Tower in place of the Seismic Smash that Enforcer gets, which ultimately is more AoE damage. So in the instances where you have your Teddy placed down and you want to do a little more damage, the Shock Tower actually ends up putting out more AoE damage than Seismic Smash. And I think that's one of the biggest determining factors here with the two classes, and why we believe that the Trailblazer came out on top. It's not just that it actually had more damage, which we'll be seeing in the gameplay soon, but it's also that the kit is just better in general. Now we can go ahead and have a look at the test to see how we ended up kind of concluding which had the better damage. And we did different but similar tests. I more focused on a single target, just letting the Teddy try to kill one smasher. And with the test, we ended up trying to see which one would get the most bang for their buck out of damage with their duration. One thing that we ended up noticing was that the duration of the Teddy on the Enforcer Grizzly was definitely a boon to have. However, it wasn't a high enough damage boost to be able to really kill anything quickly. And in situations like Smashers and Blasters, it kind of seemed more like Trailblazer took the plate and, you know, succeeded in showing that it was a higher damage in that category. And you can see in the comparison that they kind of ended up having a similar outcome. However, despite the duration of the Teddy, the boost from Trailblazer with the damage and the fire rate actually ended up being able to kill in a lesser duration, which seemed better for a burst type playstyle. But with the Enforcer, if you find yourself in a situation where you've got a lot of husks coming from spawn points and they continue to be coming, the duration of the Enforcer seemed to kind of prevail in this situation, in the sense that it would be able to slowly but surely work down the smaller husks, such as husklings and like your basic husks, and then ultimately be able to last longer for those spawns that are kind of delayed and coming at you slower. But we noticed during the test that the Trailblazer was actually able to melt a health bar quicker without having to have the duration, and so it just really seemed to excel in situations with smashers and an area where you need to be able to kill something quickly. And in my test with the elemental smashers, it didn't really seem to be much of a factor with the duration of Enforcer's Teddy, as the Trailblazer ended up taking out more of a percentage of the elemental smasher's health. And tests like these actually interest me, as I like to find out which things might perform better in certain situations, and especially with this hero rework bringing up a lot of questions which things might be pulling more damage than others. It was so interesting to see that the Trailblazer just came from nothing to something. The first time that I noticed that it had such a raw damage boost as well as a fire rate on the Teddy, I just had a feeling that it was actually going to end up taking first place in this damage category and, you know, setting a standard for Outlanders in general with the Teddy. And it's actually really cool that I had this skin just sitting around to be able to use finally. I never really found much use of it prior to the hero rework, but it seems they're really delivering in being able to choose a hero that you may not have really gotten to show some love before. But honestly, it was just a huge pleasure to get to do this with DJF, and I'll be leaving a link to his channel in the description below. I've always admired his personality and how real he is, and he's been a huge inspiration and help to me with starting up YouTube. I've had a passion to help this community with information for a long time and to help people learn, and I'd love to continue doing it. So if you've been looking for some help with the game, please do subscribe, and I'll be doing my best to help with whatever I can. Also, feel free to follow me on Twitter. I'm an open book and I'll do all I can to answer any questions you all may have. But thank you all for watching and supporting me, and I'll see you in the next one.